If you're a court watcher like I am, you may have just finished watching a very consequential hearing in the case of Sarah Boone, the Suitcase killer. The clip reel I'm about to show you from Sarah Boone's interrogation on February 25th, 2020 contains 17 reasons why that hearing just took place. Take a look at these, and afterward I'm going to tell you why these clips are important. And since I'm planning to stream Sarah Boone's trial when it starts next week, I'm going to try something new and give my predictions for the trial ahead of the trial at the end of this video. But first, take a look at these clips from Sarah's interrogation on February 25th.
Nobody touched anybody. Nobody touched anybody. Everything was fine and dandy. Everything
fine and dandy.
was fine and dandy. I didn't have any motivation. It was he and I having a great day, fooling around and being stupid, and apparently me going upstairs and hitting the bed.
What was the motivation?
There was no motivation. Nor I.
Well, he's dead as a result
Lay
of your
hands
action.
on each other.
You two didn't lay hands on each other.
No. No. I don't have anything.
You're right.
He doesn't. Whatever that is, whatever it
He
is,
does.
I don't have any injuries.
Correct.
Because
So
he and
nothing
I
happened to
have
you.
not been at it with one another. While we're in a good place right now, I'm going to snap. Is that what it... While we're in a good place right now...
you did. This is what it feels like when you're choking me. This is what it feels like.
Which was however long ago.
But you
But
did.
that's after being playful
But no one's
and
laughing.
having a good day.
No one's laughing except you.
Everybody's
I would hate to see
having
a
a
bad
good day. Oh, I'm sorry?
I would hate to see a bad day.
It was fun.
Not by that
All
video.
day. All
Not by
day.
that video. That
All
part
day.
wasn't.
It was a great day. I didn't touch him, nor did he touch me.
I think you get her point by now. She is adamant that she and the victim were having a great time with each other before she zipped him up into a suitcase and left him there to die before going upstairs and going to sleep. And that's why her defense attorney took great pains today to try to get this interrogation thrown out before trial. He even put Sarah Boone on the stand to testify about this. I'm sure she wouldn't have had it any other way. But anyway, the reason these statements are so important and so incriminating for trial is because the defense made a last-minute decision to switch from an accident defense to a battered woman defense. For a battered woman defense to work, he needs to present Sarah as a woman who was so battered by the victim that she was in constant fear for her life up to and leading into the homicide. I'm not even sure that a jury would believe the battered woman defense without the interrogation video with her saying how happy and loving they were before she killed him. But if that interrogation video is left in evidence, there's absolutely no fucking way she will prevail with a not guilty verdict. That is why her defense lawyer is so very, very desperate for the jury to not see her say over and over and over again in 17 separate statements, individual statements that she volunteered. They will not see her saying that over and over again and say that she's not guilty. She's guilty. However, the judge has not ruled yet on this motion. We won't get the ruling until end of day Thursday. So we don't know yet whether the interrogation will be thrown out, but from the bench today during the hearing, he gave several indications that this judge is not inclined to throw out the interrogation on the technicality that the defense was trying to present in the motion. And if you're questioning whether this was a Hail Mary move for the defense, consider the reason they cited for the entire video to be thrown out. They based this claim on a very, very weak argument that Sarah Boone had not been read her full Miranda rights before the interrogation. You can clearly hear the detective read her Miranda rights, but apparently there's a card handed out by the sheriff's office in that jurisdiction that contains 9 questions, and the detective did not read the last question on the card. when we get to today's hearing, we find out that the last question on the card, in and of itself, is considered a policy requirement, not a legal requirement. So this could not have been argued on more thin lines. The defense tried to argue that policy is law and law is policy, but the judge was incredulous about this and said straight up, there's no case law whatsoever to suggest that a question from a sheriff's department card has to be read in its totality in order to be a legal interrogation. The detective testified in this hearing as well and simply stated that the 9th question was not included in the card that she has been carrying since around 2013, and apparently those cards were updated, and that's the card that the defense was going by.
From my card, yes.
Do you agree that you didn't ask her the last question, number 9?
Objection, relevance. Response.
Judge, we're here on a hearing on the issue about the interrogation.
But the case law that you provided to me, none of it stands for the proposition. Miranda identifies the 4 things that need to be addressed. Not one of the cases talks about that issue of reading that language at the bottom of the card that is in the motion upon information and belief. This is what it says. So how's it relevant for the purposes of today?
Well, it's relevant because this is the policy of her department.
But
Judge,
what does the policy have? But now we're getting away from the card to now the policy. There's nothing about the policy right now. The question is about what the card says.
Okay. The card is the policy, and the policy is the policy. They're intertwined. They refer to each other. Our argument is that she did not waive her rights.
But
remain silent.
That's a different issue than what is on the card.
I understand, but it's a coercive question.
But if the defense were to get his way in this motion, the implication would be that every single person who was read their Miranda rights by that sheriff's office based on that 2013 card should be released from prison or jail because of that loophole. That's obviously ridiculous, right? So even though we won't have an answer from the judge before the end of the day on Thursday, my prediction is that the defense's motion will be denied and the jury will get to see her interrogation where she made sure to say voluntarily 17 times that they were happy and having a good time and neither of them had touched each other before she zipped him into that suitcase and taunted him and laughed at him and rolled him around and turned him over before going upstairs and going to sleep. Continuing with this thread of predictions in the Sarah Boone trial, here's what I believe will happen. First of all, I believe it's possible that this trial will get rescheduled again, and here's why. I believe that on Thursday, we will learn that the judge has denied the defense's motion to remove the interrogation from evidence. That will put the defense in a very difficult position because he's already committed to the battered woman's defense with the court, and he can't change his defense strategy within 30 days of the start of the trial.
The defendant shall give notice of intent to rely on the defense of battered spouse syndrome no later than 30 days prior to trial. So you've got to give notice 30 days before the trial.
And Boone's trial is scheduled to start next week. Because of that, I believe that the defense will attempt to continue the trial again and change its defense strategy. And he would try to change it back to an accident defense because Sarah says over and over and over and over again in her interrogation that it was not intentional.
I didn't do it intentionally. My intention is not for this to happen. It was not intentional. I will put my hand on the Bible. It was not intentional. Not intentional. Because this was not in any way, shape, or form, hand on the Bible, intentional. I didn't mean to leave him there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I didn't mean to leave him in there.
Okay.
Not
That's absolutely what happened.
intentionally. I didn't intentionally mean for this to happen. Not intentionally. Not intentionally. Know that.
I don't.
Know that. You all,
Please sit down.
listen to me.
Please sit down.
You all, listen. I did not intentionally kill him. I'm leaving it like this. I did not intentionally do this. No malicious content or effort was towards this. No malicious. Not all the way and not intentionally to leave him there. In no way, shape, or form was this intentional. I hope you all can really both truly understand that that was not my intent.
Everything that you've told us today is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, but it was not intentional. Not intentional.
Okay.
Or they will try to go with an insanity defense based on the fact that she was clearly inebriated at the time of the crime and made some comments during her interrogation about quitting alcohol, and she blames it on the alcohol.
I'm blaming it on the wine. Alcohol is a shitty thing. It's alcohol. I'm through with alcohol. And it's unfortunate that stupid things like this happen.
Now, another reason a reschedule seems likely is because both sides, the defense and the state, have been really, really complaining about their ability to start trial next week because of the condensed timeline that they're under. That timeline was completely driven by Sarah Boone because she is now on her 9th lawyer. And by all accounts, every single time a lawyer left the case, it was because Sarah Boone was impossible to work with.
It's not fair that you guys, just because he has those, automatically blame it on me.
Now, regardless of what is ultimately chosen for Sarah's defense, I believe that Sarah Boone will testify. Defendants usually only testify when they're using a self-defense strategy, but Sarah is famously or infamously one of those defendants who believes she is so smart and so amazing and so right about everything that she needs to get up on that stand to convince the jury, because she will be able to change hearts and minds with her pleas of victimhood. Now, regardless of everything I said above, no matter what defense is ultimately employed, and regardless of whether the jury is able to see her interrogation, I still believe the trial will end in a guilty verdict. And here's why. No one is questioning whether Sarah Boone's actions led to the death of Jorge. It's just a matter of why. And if we're not going to be able to get a clear, compelling, believable answer for the reason why, or show some other defense that really takes her out of the guilty mode, she's going to be declared guilty. And now here's one also bonus wild card prediction. In my mind, there's a good possibility that when and if the defense motion is denied, and the defense, including Sarah Boone, realize that their entire defense strategy will not work, we may soon hear that Sarah Boone has taken a plea deal. We know that she's declined a previous plea deal, but on the eve of trial, knowing that she has no defense, will she revisit that idea? One of the reasons I believe this is possible is because Sarah Boone is very, very concerned about how people see her. Throughout letters she has written to the judge and have been published on YouTube channels, she's extremely self-conscious about how her case has been playing out on social media. She also motioned the court for professional hairstyling and cosmetics for the trial. And this is an unprecedented request, but Sarah Boone is one of those people who believes in pushing and pushing and pushing until she gets what she wants. Now, it's hard to say what's more important to her, but if she is self-conscious enough about how things will play out publicly, and she knows that she can't use a defense that would paint her as a victim and a martyr, she may decide it's just easier to take the plea and do her time. In Sarah Boone's case, we have a horrible and extremely incriminating video of her laughing at him and taunting him as he suffocated in the suitcase. And we have video of her saying over and over again that they were happy and playing and enjoying their time with each other right before that. So this can't be seen as anything but revenge.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah. I can't breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah.
That's what I feel like when you jingle me.
Sarah.
You should probably shut the fuck up. Shh.
She left him in that suitcase out of revenge. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not a viable defense. Revenge is not a viable defense. So those are my predictions. The trial may get rescheduled again. She may take a plea deal in advance of the trial. But if she doesn't, she will testify in her defense. And regardless of all of that, no matter what the defense tries to do, she will be declared guilty by the jury. I do plan to stream this trial starting with the opening statements, which will take place sometime next week if they stay on schedule. And if you followed me here from my previous channels, you know that I love trials. I love streaming them. And I love the people who come into my chat to hang with me as we watch the trial together. If you're new to my channel and also enjoy watching court, please join us. I have a pretty chill chat. I don't tolerate drama in my chat. Trolls get no joy from me. They are immediately deleted as soon as I figure out they're a troll. I do not put up with my chatters attacking each other. And I encourage people not to make disparaging comments about people's looks in the trial or, in the chat, because I believe that focusing on people's looks is a very low form of conversation. And it simply does not interest me. If that all sounds good to you, come join us, because really my chatters are fun and smart. They have a great sense of humor and we have a great camaraderie. And it's great to be able to watch a trial together and then all sit on the edge of our seats waiting for the verdict. Let's say you don't want to watch my live Sarah Boone coverage. Even if you don't do that, you are welcome to come back and give me grief for any of my predictions that don't happen. Feel free to do a neener if Sarah Boone doesn't testify or if she's found not guilty, because I really have no problem being wrong. It's fun to be right, yes, but it's not the end all be all. The main reason I do predictions is to show that a lot of predictions can be made based on established patterns. And the pattern I'm seeing play out here is a really weak defense based on the grandiose notions of a whiny, self-entitled defendant who shows a complete inability to take accountability or responsibility for her own actions.
It's not fair that you guys, just because he has those, automatically blame it on me.
Because
I have never dealt with anything like this before. I don't know what to do, how to do it, and I always know what to do and how to do it. Y'all are making me out to be a person that I'm not. Or will I ever be. And it's so, for me to have to live with getting him out and doing what I did is punishment enough. Nonetheless, I have to live without him now.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
Punishment in itself.
Yeah. His daughters too.
Are you trying to make it worse?
Sorry, what?
Are you trying to make it worse?
Make what worse?
How I feel.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and consider joining the live streams next week. And peace out.